and available. Just want to let you all know this meeting is being audio and video recorded. All votes would be conducted roll call? No, everyone's,
Yes. We're on roll call. John's
on?
Thing, yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
so
we
roll
have to
call,
be.
definitely roll call.
Yeah.
Okay. Zoom attendees must use their real name to help keep accurate minutes. The chair will recognize participants and let you know when you can speak. Please mute yourself when you are not speaking if you are online. Public speakers will be granted for public comment for 3 minutes and an additional 1 minute thereafter. Please remember this is the merits of the application and not reviewing the applicant. Okay, so roll call. Barry,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye,
John,
here.
John Kitchener.
Here.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Iverson is alternates, Stephen Welch, Abby Di Molina, Howard Matz, welcome. Okay, Leslie Snell is not here. Megan Dudell, Deputy Director of Planning, congratulations.
Thank you.
First and foremost, Mr. Billy Sod.
Here.
Thank you. And Catherine Lazzaro. Thank you. Okay. So can I get a motion to approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Okay, Barry.
Aye.
Nat.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
And the acting chair is an aye. Okay. All right. Any public comments not on tonight's agenda? Anyone? Campbell Sutton, welcome.
Thank you. Sorry to be late.
You're right on time.
Apparently, I made it just on. So I just wanted to ask a little follow-up from the Strong Towns presentation that was given, and was hoping at a future meeting, maybe you guys might have some comments about, what you heard, and I think it was related to the master plan, or redesign of the master plan. So I just wanted to see if you guys would be willing to follow up with some comments or discussion about that in the future.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good. Anyone else? Anyone online? Okay. All right, so approval of the minutes, but February 10th, right, Catherine, is not available this time. So did everyone have a chance to review them? Any comments, any edits?
So January 9th, February 6th, and March 6th are the, yeah, that's what I thought. I'll make a motion that we approve those 3 sets of minutes.
You got a second?
Second.
Okay. Barry, any motion?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
The chair is an aye. We'll do these one at a time. So secondary dwellings, is that all
Hey,
right?
Barry, I don't think your mic is on, Barry.
There we go. Sorry. Thank you for letting me know about that.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, secondary dwellings, James and Laura Bessie. Then we have Act Coda LLC, 42 Shimmer Pond Road. And then we have Sun Channing Zhu Hashin, and I apologize for the mispronunciation of your name, 19A Widow Road, Kevin Fraser Corp. at 47 New Street, Wisconsin, Elegance LLC at 75 Parkham Road, Nobe ACL LLC at 2 Nobody Way. Can I get a motion, please?
Do you want to do the garage apartment too?
We can add that in there. Garage Apartments, Randolph G. Sharp Jr., Revocable Trust at 59 Pulpus Road.
All right. So can I ask a quick question?
Always.
So there's a secondary dwelling and a tertiary dwelling happening for both NOB AC LLC? Yes. Is that correct? And
Yes, that's correct.
there was nothing, I noticed the notation on here, but there was nothing to warrant having further examination of this.
No, I just had asked Billy to put a note in because we have just discussed our temporary moratorium on tertiary dwellings and wanted to explain that this property has the benefit of a zoning freeze. They had filed a perimeter plan on April 11th, 2022, so that is why they're eligible to proceed with a tertiary dwelling application at this time.
Got it. So I'd probably say, if there's no objection, let's include that into the mix.
Yeah, I just was gonna leave that so she could make that, but now
Yeah.
we've just done that. Okay, if you want to add in the tertiary apartments as well?
Yeah.
Want to make a motion to all those
Sure,
three?
so for all the secondary dwellings, garage apartments, and the tertiary dwellings, I'll make a motion that we approve those as submitted to staff with all the appropriate parameters they've attached.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, Barry, any motion?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And acting chair is an aye. Okay, A&Rs. We have 21 Pilgrim Road trustee, Sophie's Way Homeowner Association trustee, Stephen L. Cohen, trustee of 9 Primrose Realty Trust, Carol Black and Kevin Bates, 28 Norwood Street, Dog Realty Trust, Sandra H. London, trustee at 4 Rosebud Lane, 5 Rosebud Lane LLC, 5 and 5B Rosebud Lane, Kevin T. Holgate, 6 Rosebud Lane, William A. Maderas, trustee, 2003, and Lynn M. Maderas, 35 Vespa Lane and 8 Cato Lane. Hay Lover, LLC, love saying that, 38 Lovers Lane, Elves, LLC, Ray Pohl, and Scott O'Connor as managers of Wires Way. Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
yes, sir.
and maybe, are you going to hit on Salem?
Yeah, I
Els?
wanted to just make a quick, I did update the staff report today and I sent it to the board. I think I had one put on the ferry Friday and a couple copies of case notes and the A&Rs for 5 and 6 Rosebud, so that's been corrected. And then,
Hey, Billy, microphone.
sorry about that, John. I provided an update to the board on the staff report. There were 5 and 6 Rosebud were copy and paste errors, so I wanted to just make sure that you had that before voting.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that with the A&Rs that you've just mentioned, that we endorse them as submitted and recommended by staff.
Thank you, Barry. Second,
Second.
Barry, any motion?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And the acting chair is an aye. Okay, preliminary plans.
Here we go.
Fairgrounds LLC, Brad Cartwright, manager, 25 and 27 Fairgrounds Road. Hello, Paul Santos.
Hello.
You're welcome.
Get out of your way here, Catherine. Thank you. For the record, Paul Santos with Nantucket Surveyors LLC on behalf of the applicant, Fairgrounds LLC. Brad Cartwright is the manager of that entity, and Brad is seated in the back row here to my left. This is a preliminary plan application, Form C, for 2 pieces of property, 25 and 27 Fairgrounds Road. While Brad is the applicant, he is not the current property owner. 25 Fairgrounds Road is owned by Suzanne M. Davis, trustee of Davis Realty Trust. And 27 Fairgrounds Road is owned by William F. Puder, trustee of WKP Realty Trust. For those of you who don't know, and I'm sure you all know the property, this is the Fairgrounds restaurant property, is located at 27 Fairgrounds Road, and there is an abutting piece of property vacant located at 25 Fairgrounds Road that makes up the extent of this application. The proposal itself is located on a residentially zoned piece of property. Property is located in the R10 zoning district. The board is familiar with the site in that a special permit for rear lot subdivision was obtained by the Puders for 27 Fairgrounds Road back a few years ago. That special permit actually was issued in November of 2022. It entailed a lot that would encompass the restaurant itself, and then I believe there was 3 additional lots to the rear, which would be developed in a residential fashion. That special permit has not been recorded, but for point of reference, the board did approve the 4-lot concept after some discussion back in 2022. The lot itself, or the combination of the 2 lots, is approximately 2 acres in size, or 89,553 square feet. Proposal is for 9 lots eight buildable with a roadway lot. And you see that configuration in front of you. The lot itself is located within a DEP Zone 2. It's located within the Wellhead Protection Area, Nantucket Harbor Watershed Protection District Zone B, and the Nantucket Public Wellhead Recharge District. The subject lot does not contain areas regulated by the Nantucket Conservation Commission, and the site is not located in a mapped natural heritage or endangered species program area of priority habitat or rare wildlife and priority habitat of rare species. Property itself is also not located within a flood zone. Property is serviced by municipal water and sewer. So the site will be serviced also by underground electric, telephone, and cable. The plan you see before you depicts a 25-foot paved roadway surface with a 20-foot right-of-way and a 40-foot roadway easement. Appropriate turnaround. The following plans, I believe there are 3 plans to this set. The third plan depicts Nantucket Fire Department's Engine 1 or Ladder 1, showing that the site itself, as designed, can have a fire apparatus come into the site, work its way around the cul-de-sac, and work its way back out with no obstructions. The cul-de-sac itself is proposed to be, and the roadway itself is proposed to be a bituminous paved surface with a Cape Cod berm. Billy, who's ever controlling could we go to maybe the second plan? Thank you. So this plan depicts the approximate layout of the site drainage along with the pavement structure for the roadway. So again, 20-foot wide paved road along with a area of a block around the cul-de-sac to provide the total requisite for the fire truck or fire turning apparatus. As I had mentioned, the site is located within the DEP Zone 2 and the Public Wellhead Recharge District, therefore would be subject to Mass Stormwater Policy. So the conceptual plan that you see before you has a set of catch basins at a low point in the road to a water quality unit, which is piped to a combination above ground grass swale and also a component of subsurface infiltration. So we would be discharging to a swale itself, a subsurface infiltration, and then would have the grass vegetated swale. That all occurs along the easterly property line or the lots to the right of the existing roadway. As I said, site would be serviced by water and sewer. We would be providing water service into the subdivision along with a hydrant at the end of the cul-de-sac or towards the end of the cul-de-sac for firefighting operations. The third plan in the set shows the fire apparatus turning or swept plan, which shows access for ladder 1 into the site around the cul-de-sac and then back out. The application itself, or the site itself, does have a NERDR bus stop right kind of at the intersection of Tacoma Way and where the roadway is. The proposal should not alter or does not alter the location of where that bus stop could still be utilized. So there is the posted spot there, and there'd be a posted spot for the NERDR bus after the proposed development. We're here for a preliminary plan, obviously seeking input from the board. Moving forward to the definitive level, we would be seeking waivers of the sidewalks, waiver of bicycle path. Not sure whether we're going to need any street lighting in here, but we'll look at that. And then a waiver of the right-of-way width and the cul-de-sac radius. We've demonstrated that the fire apparatus can operate in this configuration and would be seeking waivers on those components also based on your subdivision regulations. Sure, there'll be discussions at the next level with regard to contributions per lot that the board typically will ask, and we're happy to have those conversations at the next level, or happy to discuss it tonight if you want to go down that route also. Happy to answer any questions you may have, and then Brad is here also.
Thank you, Paul. Commissioners, any comments? Any thoughts? Anyone in the public?
Why don't we do
This
that
is
first?
not a public hearing.
I didn't know if we, yeah, I didn't think so. Okay,
Sorry, Campbell. The preliminary plan.
my bad. Anyone?
So who wants to talk first?
John
I'll-
Kitchener has his hand raised online as well.
I'll let you go first. And then...
Let him go. That's fine. I mean, whatever you want.
Yeah.
We'll go to John
If I
Kitchener.
go first, that way I can talk again easier.
There you go now, you go.
John, go
first.
ahead.
Um,
Hand it over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. Not being an expert on sewer by any means, but regarding the sewer, is there likely to be any issues here that David is going to have with, were these units kind of included in the plan for that area and so forth? Does he have the capacity to handle it? Are there any issues that you foresee or no? Thank you.
You like me to answer?
Yeah, please.
Sure. Sure. We'll obviously be reviewing the plans before we get to the next level for the definitive with the sewer department. The preliminary plan by statute gets filed with the town clerk, gets filed with the Board of Health, and gets filed with the planning board. So obviously, Board of Health has no concerns because we're tying this to town sewer. But we will be following up with David and the sewer department. The Wires Way development, well, Wiggles Way, I guess, whatever it's known as now, didn't have any issues. They made a standard connection into the sewer, in fact, right pretty close to where we'd be tying in also.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
It is a small gravity line.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 8-inch. Art brought that up, but that's not anyone's fault. That's
Yeah.
1978 fault of
Yeah.
somebody not thinking. We're all supposed to pretend that this is like no big deal, all set. I know you know what I'm talking about. That's not your problem.
Yeah.
You don't have to read the stuff that's said about Sparks Ave, New Downtown, ruin Nantucket. This is different, though. This is the, this is where everybody goes for whatever they're doing, I'm kind of speechless. I mean, I don't want to sound like an activist or, but this is, I just can't even believe that this can't work out the way we had hoped it would with the rear lots, making those lots in the back. That was a great plan. But it's legal. That's the catch. R10 zoning, late 70s. Pre-existing non-conforming from back in the day, John Kimmett, the Naughty Pines, what was it called, the Roadhouse? I think it was the Roadhouse at one time, too. Any talk about housing? Is this gonna be Maple Way? Is this gonna be what? Just market rate? I mean, there's gotta be a plan.
Yeah,
I've
no,
been
this is-
running
this-
numbers for 3 years.
This is submitted as market rate.
Okay.
God help us.
Well,
Okay, we'll done for now.
All right, go ahead.
Acting Chair.
Have at it.
Yep, just a few things, and then I'll kind of summate afterwards. The current NRTA stop, if you're gonna do anything with that, which I'm hoping you will, I'd love for you to at least push that back into the property a bit.
Oh, sure, yeah.
You know, I think that's just one thing. I mean, it's great having it where it is right now. That's the best it was gonna be. But since we'll have an opportunity to do that, I would suggest pushing that back.
Yeah.
The other thing I want you to contemplate and maybe work with staff on a little bit more is that the cul-de-sac at the very end is just maybe granting an easement for future use. I don't know what's going to happen with other properties. None of us do, but I think at this point, again, we're always looking at interconnectedness with things. That's one of the primary functions of this board, is looking at interconnecting roadways. I know there would be other things that would have to happen, but at least, well, we've got an opportunity now to maybe think about securing an easement at the very back end of that for future use, whatever may come of it. And, you know, easements do have a life to them. So I don't know what your thoughts are there, but I think we'd be remiss not to at least think about it at the moment. I don't know if the remaining infrastructure in there seems pretty solid, but I don't know if staff has any thoughts about any improvements that need to take place along that side of the road, whether it's worth thinking about a sidewalk or something like that. Again, it's all about interconnectedness and looking toward the future of what we're going to wind up doing with this thing. So I'd like you to have that conversation with staff, maybe to flush it out a bit further, to see if there's any improvements that either need to be done to that side or the opposite side of Fairgrounds. Like my compatriot, Mr. Lowell, this is a tough pill to swallow. It really is. We've grown very used to the restaurant being there, and, you know, the superb job that Bill and Kim did with making it a real community environment. My God, did they work hard at doing it. But like everything too, all good things eventually come to an end, and here it is. It could be a whole bunch of other things too. They could be looking at other potentials here. So I get it. It could always be worse than what they're proposing right now, and I think there'll be opportunities for the board to try to work with the applicant to maybe do some things that would make it more palatable to the community, shall we say. But again, you know, people who are buying this property also have rights that we need to honor as well too within the process. But I do want to acknowledge that, yeah, at least personally, this is not an easy one, because I really do appreciate everything that they brought to the community, and we're always sad to see something like that transition into a new stage, but so be it. And they, again, for all the hard work and stuff they've done too, they deserve to, I guess, kind of get their life back as well too. Because God only knows how hard and diligently they work at that environment. So I'm sure there'll be some other things come up, but hopefully that's a little bit of a start, at least for some things to contemplate.
Thank you.
Please, thank you.
No, and I kind of agree with you. I mean, this is, to steal a line, everyone knows your name. I think Bill and Kim have really done an amazing job reaching out to the community and giving back in so many ways. I do want to say that we hear what everyone is saying and we get it. This is not an easy decision, but at the same time, Kim and Bill have done everything for the last 3 years trying to have someone be able to do that, but it just didn't work out, and unfortunately, here we are. I did like Mr. Rector's suggestion of possibly having an easement towards the rear. I think that would be really wise. Having NERDA and Mike Burns weigh in on the traffic and the NERDA parking space, somewhere to kind of make sure that that's clean. Maybe some reorganization of lining up to come away, and a crosswalk just seems like it's a little doesn't quite work right now. It's a little off-center. But if we can kind of work on that or get some way to kind of get that to work better, I think that would be wise. I think that you checked a lot of boxes for this. Really couldn't find much flaw in your design, Paul, which was great, but at the same time, I do think this is going to be something, that we're all going to have to move on from. And I know, Nat, your dad built this, didn't
Yeah,
you, back in the day?
what's there now, my father's last real job as a builder,
So,
87.
yeah. So, I mean, I get it, the market rate, but it is their right, and that's what they can do. But I think that the comments we've had of something to kind of start, I think this has been kind of new and something I'd really like to kind of sit on for a couple of months and really think about this. So,
Mr. Chair,
yeah.
Miss Di Molina has her hand raised as well.
Oh, welcome, Abby.
Great.
Want to go ahead?
Sure, thank you. I just want to echo what everyone else says, that I think it's a shame, obviously having a large part of the community replaced with a, subdivision isn't great. But what I know we're talking about market rate as what they're looking for, but considering the location, it's right across from the town building, very close to the Plus office. Is there any thought of seeing if there's some way we could think about restricting if these units are built for, either town employees or year-round, something like that? I mean, I just feel like it would make sense if we could.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone knows we don't have enough housing, and especially I think with town employees, things like that, if these are going to be market rate homes, maybe for some of the more senior town employees, that might be something to think about.
Thank you, Abby. Good, Nat, one more time.
Megan, to you. So, something with next door, 31. I think we were doing something with NERDA. I just don't remember 100%.
That's not gonna happen.
No,
No.
No,
in the front there, some kind of new pull-off-y thing.
not at 31. I mean,
I remember the discussion, but I just can't remember
Yep.
what the end result was.
yep, the end result is they'd rather utilize existing stops. So I think, when we get to the
Yeah, but nobody saw this-
conversation,
nobody
right,
saw
of
this.
the
They saw
AR.
this as a stop because there was all the space in the front.
Right,
Now it's
so-
going away.
So I actually talked to Mike and Drew, well, Mike, who had talked to Drew about this just the other day. And, once we get to the public hearing phase, I think you'll want to talk about the applicant perhaps creating a proper pull-off spot there with some
I mean-
crosswalk.
I mean, what they've done, pretty simple to see. Every lot is literally right at the zoning limit, except for one. So to make something, you have to eliminate something. So that's
We create an easement.
probably not gonna happen. Well, there's not enough of a layout there. What's the layout of Fairgrounds?
Oh, no, you've got room in that layout.
We got room.
To do a
Yeah.
pop-out.
Yeah, he's got
Is there
room.
enough there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can.
It's not one of these odd ones that doesn't have any
No,
right
you'd
away?
have room, and you could even put an easement, if we had to, put an easement on
Okay.
one of the lots. There's room there to make it, to
Because you
get
wanna
what
have
Barry's
it,
asked for.
you wanna have it towards 31 direction. Would make more sense, in my opinion, but, because
Yeah,
there's
right
gonna be
now
a
it's
lot
kind
of
of
use there.
diagonal across from Tacoma. But there's room there to do it.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
Just, thank you. Just one more thing. If you already haven't, we'd just love you to reach out to the Affordable Housing Trust. Just, you may have already done it, but I think just a brief introduction as to what you're doing would be helpful for them to know, given the characteristics of what's developing in the area. It's entirely up to you what you want to do with that, but I think that would just be a healthy conversation to have while we're here, even at the preliminary stage of things. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Pleasure of the board. Anything
Just-
else?
Let me.
Good, yeah.
So do you feel like you've got enough, Mr. Santos?
No,
for us
perfect.
to-
I mean, that's
okay.
that's why we're here before you. I appreciate all the comments, and fully understand the emotional nature of it all, so
Yep.
I think it's, but we've got plenty to move forward with.
Yeah. So I'd make a motion, then we approve the preliminary plan as proposed with the discussions that we've had.
Okay, thank you, Barry.
Second.
Okay, Barry, any motion?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And the acting chair is an aye. Thank you, Paul.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm just going to quickly jump to a couple little housekeeping that I didn't do.
Yeah.
So Sandpiper Place to Community Center is continued to April 14th. And then I'm going to jump to public hearing, 21 Amelia Drive LLC, 21 Amelia Drive has requested to withdraw. So should we vote on that?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we,
Let me just
sorry.
clarify, there's two applications before you, so this withdrawal without prejudice is the prior application. And you'll have a new one before you to evaluate later on in the meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we accept the withdrawal without prejudice.
Second.
Okay, Barry, any motion?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And the acting chair is an aye. And then Quapen LLC, Old South Road, 11A Old South Road, and a portion of 109 Old South Road is being continued to April 14th. So can I get a motion on the two continuances?
Yeah, so move, sir.
A second?
Second.
I'm going to give that to John.
That's
If
okay.
you don't mind. All right, Barry, any motion?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
And the acting chair is an aye. Okay, we're going to jump back up to 46 Essex Road.
So this is just an endorsement of a waiver of restriction that is in connection with the subdivision amendment that you all approved for this property, I guess a couple of months back, where it converted 2 lots into 3 lots. So it's, the other documents that sometimes come apart as part of the subdivision amendment. So our recommendation is to go ahead and endorse this, and Rick is here if you have any technical questions.
Okay, thank you.
Make a motion that we endorse.
Okay,
Second.
Barry, any motion?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Acting chair is an aye. Thank you. Okay. Congrats, Rick. Okay, so moving on to Priscilla Lentowski, 75 Hooper Farm Road, represented by Michael Connolly. Oh, is that online?
I don't see him online.
Does the staff want to take this, or do we want to wait?
I mean, I can run through it, and if there's something that you're not comfortable moving forward with without him present, we could always continue it, but this one is pretty straightforward.
Thought.
If you could pull up the plan, Billy, this is a conversion of an AR subdivision into a rear lot subdivision.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So it's 2 lots in the R10 zoning district, and standard conditions would apply.
Okay. Commissioners, comments?
No.
Anyone in the public, do we want to go to?
No hands are up online.
Okay,
All right, so I'll make a motion, we close the public hearing and start with the easy thing.
okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Barry, any motion?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Acting chair is an aye. Okay,
And this is a special permit with Dave not being here. Either Howard or Abby would need to be activated.
okay. Howard, do you mind stepping up?
Great.
Do you have any comments? Okay,
And I'll make a motion that we approve the application as submitted with the findings and conditions noted therein.
thank you, sir.
Second.
Barry, any motion?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
Howard?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Acting chair is an aye. Nice work, John. Okay, moving on to Nantucket Housing Works, Inc., 4 Spearhead LLC and 2 Spearhead LLC, 2, 4, 6, and 8 Spearhead Road, and 9 Arrowhead Drive. And this is Rick Burdette. Welcome, Rick.
Afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Acting.
Mr. Acting Chair. Sorry, I'm going to insult Dave. Rick Bodett for the applicant. We're here today seeking a major commercial development special permit for this property on Spearhead and Arrowhead Drive. It's 2468 Spearhead and 9 Arrowhead. It's actually 5 lots in the CI district. The proposal is to construct 2 separate 1.5-story buildings for storage, primarily for automobiles or boats if a lessee or owner wants to store there. I did submit an updated plan today that I have a copy of if everyone wants a paper copy. But 6 or 7 of the units would be accessed through the common driveway off Arrowhead. And then 3 to 4 units we're proposing to access off of Spearhead. The purpose of the additional curb cuts on Spearhead, and we have asked for a special permit for those as well, because technically we have to have 1 per lot. These are all going to be used together. But we've applied for a special permit to have 3 or 4 additional curb cuts that would access these units off of Spearhead. And the reason is to give the users, that's the new plan, additional space if they have a trailer that they want to back into one of these units, and access them off of Spearhead. But the majority of the units would be accessed on that common driveway you see there. It is a total of 10 units. We don't have any plans for employees. It's all supposed to be self-accessed. Proposing hours 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. We have provided, you'll see 4 parking spaces there. I'm not sure that we'll need them, given that people can park in the garages as well if there's space. And again, it's sort of a limited use. I mean, this is really to provide for really winter storage or storage for automobiles or boats that someone might use it for. So, we anticipate the use will be a little bit fleeting, certain times a year. Pick up, drop off, but that's about it. We did ask for a waiver of traffic study. We're not anticipating this use to generate significant amount of additional traffic in the area. To the extent necessary, if you think we needed parking there, we have asked for a waiver, but I'm not sure we'll really need it there. And that's essentially our proposal. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Thank you, Rick. Commissioners, comments, thoughts?
I might also add, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yeah.
I did see in the staff report a question about maintenance or washing of vehicles, and that's not proposed at all. This is strictly to be used for storage. That's it. So someone couldn't rent this and then have someone drop off cars to work on there. It's simply for storage.
But just a question, because it's a commercial property, we'll have storm drains or drains inside just to catch any fluid or anything?
Yeah, we did submit a stormwater report from Don Bracken's office. I don't think you guys have heard from Mr. Pesci yet.
No.
I didn't see
No.
anything, so I'm sure he'll review that as well.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, every year, if you could just give a report, just to make sure that any drainage or anything has been cleaned, just to make sure there's
Yeah.
no gas leaks or anything like that. I know that it is a code, but I just think that would be wise for us to have that information, so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a reasonable condition.
Okay, thank you. All right, other commissioners, anyone?
Sure.
Go to the public? Where do you want to go? Go ahead.
Just one quick question. The 4 access points off of Spearhead, why not internalize that? So everything's self-contained?
Yeah, good question. So that there's more room to back a trailer in if necessary. Someone wanted to store a boat in one of those units, there isn't enough turning radius on the interior there
Yep.
for a trailer. That's really the sole purpose of those.
Can you just bring that plan back up for a second?
Here, I'll share mine. I don't have the updated because I can't access my email here, but you'll.
sorry.
Oh, Max got it.
Late starting.
No, I get it, okay. So someone's got this point. There we go. I'm not keen on it. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. I understand what you're trying to do. Maybe you could put doors on either side and really encourage people to use the interior as opposed to coming onto Spearhead. Because there's a fair
Right.
amount, there's enough commercial traffic to catch my attention. So just describe for me, two things you said. So preliminary, yeah, primarily storage is what I heard. Was there any other intended use?
No.
Out of that? No, okay. And then help me to understand, is this more like you're looking at people to do long-term storage, daily storage? Because those kind of things are gonna make it a little bit of a determination of how much traffic flow is being generated from the site.
Yep.
So if there are primary things like contractor vehicles and stuff like that, where they're coming in 5 days a week, there's a difference in the activity versus someone storing their, their classic automobile in here. So just help me to understand that a little bit, just to
Yeah.
flesh it out, please.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a good question, actually. I hadn't considered daily storage. It's not what's intended. It's for long-term storage.
Okay.
So we're happy to have a condition to that effect. I wasn't sure what you were getting at first, but I guess I can envision, given the parking lot out here, that is something that's possible, yeah. But no, the intent is, someone who, wants to store their car, whether it be classic or just their Jeep that they don't want out in the elements all winter. That's a pretty significant need here on the island.
Yep.
So that's really the intent here.
And there's no security gating or anything like that?
No.
No, I don't think so.
No. I think there could have been, if there was one driveway.
Right.
It's not really practical with the
Okay,
five.
all right, thanks.
Yep.
Thank you, Barry. If there's no other commissioners, we'll go to the public. and see who's got
yeah.
a- Oh, John, go ahead.
Hi, Rick. Would it make sense to have something in here about not being able to store hazardous materials, in or on a vehicle or not? Because, I could see where that might happen when people are keeping it over there in the winter and stuff. So I guess I'd be happy to see something that prohibited the storage of hazardous materials in the vehicle or around it.
Yeah, the only, my only concern, my only hesitation here is that the gasoline in the car is hazardous. So, and, not out of the question, someone might, stick some antifreeze in there. It's really a garage, right? So, I could see maybe a condition that would be worthwhile that says something about any hazardous materials are stored properly, or,
You can exclude gasoline, but I'm more worried about people putting some stuff in there that really shouldn't be in there.
yeah.
Good, Barry.
But anyway, point to consider.
Thank you. And John's maybe raising a good point here, is that I think a conversation between our engineer and then also the fire department may make sense. I wouldn't
Yeah.
want to make it too broad in scope. Because if you think about an automobile, it's not just gasoline. It is oil, it is antifreeze, it is brake, transmission fluids. There's a whole bunch of nasty things in there, but it's what we need to make the car work. So But I think a conversation with those two entities may help us in terms of defining what that looks like.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right.
Thanks.
John, you all set?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Can we go to Erica Mooney, please? And then we'll go to Emily.
Erica, you're up.
Hi, thanks. I just had a quick question about, I'm looking at the plans online and it's, it's a pretty decent sized building with a lot of roof. And I just wanted to make sure that stormwater runoff was considered and how that's going to be dealt with, and that the stormwater division of the sewer department was consulted.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you. Emily?
Thank you, Mr. Acting Chair. Emily Molden for the Nantucket Land and Water Council. Just a few additional follow-up comments. I appreciate that it sounds like these plans will be reviewed by the town's consulting engineer, and per the staff report that a water quality certificate will be required because this lot is within the Zone 2. I guess I would just ask specifically if either one or both of them, the town's engineer or the Water Department Water Commission, could address in their review the provisions under the Wellhead Recharge District. I think it's 2Q, the justification for greater than 15% impervious surface. And then also 2Q1, which is a provision that specifically says that for non-residential uses, recharge shall be by open stormwater infiltration covered with natural vegetation, and subsurface infiltration shall only be used where other methods are infeasible. So I just would love if the board could direct one of those two entities to address those provisions specifically. And then I appreciate touching on the no maintenance or washing. Maybe it would be a great idea to just include that as conditions to the permit, since that's clearly not the intention anyway. And I certainly appreciated, Mr. Topham, your request for some annual reporting about maintenance of the stormwater. I think that sort of sounds similar to, I don't know if they still do, but the Conservation Commission used to require annual reporting of IA septic systems. And so if that's something the board chooses to ask for, that could also be a condition, just looking for those to be submitted by the applicant. And I think because it's within the Zone 2, that there's already a prohibition on storage of hazardous materials, unless it's actually permitted by you guys. But one thought for consideration, again, maybe with discussions with the engineer, maybe this is already a requirement, but with that many vehicles, some kind of requirement for oil or gas spill cleanup kits might also be something worth considering. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Okay. Kind of my comments are, is it going to be an auto light when people come in and pull in? And I agree with what Barry's saying as far as having the 4 axes off of the spearhead. And I was wondering if you move can you bring up a plan? Come on.
What do you see? Oh, yeah.
If you can pull it down slightly. I didn't know if you could straighten out that access and then have those first 3 bays, if not 4, you could back in. At least then it's on all site. If someone takes 10 times to back into it, they have a lot of time. They're not on the roadway. And I didn't know.
Sure.
So to go here, go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then move this up here, come in
Okay.
and make the angle.
So that might work with the driveway. The grade is an issue on that western side.
Drops off.
It drops off pretty good. So the only way to get those 4 on the eastern side
That would be great. Thanks. We're on a Zoom call.
was to drop the slab down so that there wasn't too much of an angle on the driveway. So it would be even more pronounced, in other words, on the western side.
So more pronounced there than
Yeah.
on the roadway?
Yeah. I know. I drove by it and it's flat as far as I'm concerned, but Bracken looked at this a lot last week, and that was the only place those could be. But I can definitely check into Barry's idea and maybe maybe those driveways could be, maybe there's a way to only use them when they're placing a car there as opposed to pulling it out, or placing a trailer there as opposed to pulling it out, so that it's more of a limited use.
Yeah.
But I think the truth is, these are going to be used a couple times a year, no matter what, really.
Yeah, and I would say most of the guys that are hauling around the boats are pretty capable of moving around quite swiftly.
Oh, for sure. I mean, but they would need some kind of hand truck or something. There's only a 20-foot aisle there on most of that area in the interior, so.
Perry, you want to go ahead?
Let's get a little wild for a moment. How are you set for open space on this thing?
I
Are you at
don't
the,
think we didn't ask for a waiver for it.
okay, are you close to the
believe so.
20%, or do you have a little wiggle room?
I don't remember it. I have to-
Just do me a favor.
Yeah.
It's 26%.
It's 26%.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm just wondering if you were to take that bay up top, bring it to the end, all right? Because now you've gained a little bit more access. And where you have that kind of bump out in the road with the green space, even if it was like 1 or 2% that you dropped into, I'd be willing to waive that if you could pull everything into that area.
Yeah.
So that you have there's a lot more generosity toward being able to move internally within the space. I think, I get it from a layout, it looks pleasing, but I think functionally, there's maybe just a few changes, a few tweaks that you might be able to make that may give you a little bit more access, and I'd love for, is it Don Bracken you said?
Yeah, yeah.
Don's pretty clever with that kind of stuff, so I think it's maybe just another look at.
Yeah, I mean, so in other words, you're talking about maybe eliminating that setback on the eastern side there, giving us more space on the other side, and eliminating, what you're talking about is the parking to the north? Is that what you're?
I'm talking about, pardon me. So this green part right here,
Yeah,
pull it back so it's flush with everything.
yep.
Then this one that's bumped out further, bring that over here.
Okay.
So these two become a lot more
A
flush
lot more
with-
accessible.
What's that?
A lot more accessible in the
Yeah,
interior.
so all of a sudden you're picking up more maneuvering room in there. That's all. And I think
Okay.
maybe just those little tweaks, at least I'd like you to look at it and maybe be able to come back to us and say, yeah, we looked at, but this is the reasons why we can't do it.
Yep, okay.
Yep.
Rick, through you,
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Acting. On page 17,
Dave's gonna love
it shows all the overhead doors on the other side. What am I missing here? I'm trying to find that plan on the packet, and I don't see
Yeah,
it.
because I just submitted that plan today to Billy.
Okay,
That's why, sorry.
Yeah.
all right. 'Cause I got my glasses on at work, What am I looking at here? And you brought that up earlier, and I'm like, wait a minute, okay. So we're going with this one now, technically.
Yeah,
What you wanna go with.
we applied for the special permit for the extra curb cuts, but we didn't have the plan yet, and I just got
Okay.
it today, yeah, sorry.
And Barry, I just want to thank you.
Yeah, no, please.
Barry, you should see the cars that are out there, sitting there, at these houses, paying excise taxes, by the way, year-round, being driven 3 months a year,
Yeah.
sitting in the salt air, rotting the bottom of their vehicles. Like, it's unbelievable. Not everybody has enough garage space
I
for
understand.
the number of vehicles they have. This is gonna be, people that are using this are gonna be people that do it, that know how to drive, for lack of a better statement. You're not gonna have a bunch of homeowners coming over here for the first time trying to deal with something. This is gonna be people doing it, like caretakers.
It's gonna be their
Property
caretakers, yeah.
manager people. It's, not 1985, that's what's gonna happen here, so, I was at a place today with 2 covers on cars. Oh, they got the car covered, but the bottom of the car is exposed to the salt air. I mean, it's what happens. Brake calipers are frozen. They come to use their car in the spring, and it's going into the garage with wheels on fire. You know what I mean? That's what happens, because it's just sitting there.
More money for
So there's
Norman.
more, this is not, this is not surprising. This is a good place for it. So,
Okay. Campbell, you want to go ahead, please?
Yeah, I just, I understand what you're talking about with the curb cuts there. And I guess my thought was, if Barry's suggestions, which are good suggestions, didn't work out, that perhaps those curb cuts could be more like green space with a chain or a gate in front of each one so that they don't become parking lots, parking spaces used indiscriminately by other people, but where the person who has leased or rented the unit is the only one that has access to it, and to have it more fit in more with the natural environment along the roadside there, as opposed to having paved curb cuts, was my suggestion.
Thank you, Campbell. I'm just going to kind of run down some things. One, looking at this plan, I'm getting old and I need glasses full-time now, coming up this weekend. But anyways, the plan you had online was just very blurry, so there's a lot of stuff that I couldn't read. So I kind of think if we can get a cleaner plan,
Yep.
if we can get a topography plan, that would be fantastic. A lighting plan, no hazardous materials, stormwater is going to get reviewed. I agree with everything that Emily said, just kind of making sure the annual report, somewhere to contain it. And that was something I had learned being on the Concom, but it was a Stop and Shop does those annual reportings, which I think is really important, and that would help just to kind of make sure we're well-had and all that stuff, everything's safe and clean. I think that would be really important for all of us. And then I just, lighting signage, I think would be really kind of smart. If we can kind of get that going, in and out, just some way, if there's a little homeowners association where everyone kind of works on the same page as far as like restrictions, parking, timing, all that stuff, I think would be kind of wise. And then just making sure that, everyone's kind of looked at this. That's kind of all I have. Does anyone else have any comments?
Just one thing, when you talked about Don Bracken and Emily brought up, or Erica brought up the town, this is a new development in here, so whatever's down at the bottom of Spearhead, I'm sure is designed to catch the water that's already going down the same street. Is not going to change. There's going to be more runoff with buildings, but that's been done, I'm assuming, to higher standards. That curb cut on Arrowhead, is that where they just did that that cement part of the road, or is this the crappy part of the road still?
I'm not sure. I think they
can't
told me
remember.
today
I
that
think
Carl just fixed the road there, so,
Just that one section,
yeah.
because,
It might be right
obviously.
in front of where he started there, yeah.
yeah, we're gonna have to look at that, obviously. Okay,
Yeah, I'll be able to, I'll go take a look,
yeah,
obviously, and be able to report.
okay.
And, Joe, when you mentioned, restrictions, parking, timing, et cetera, what you're talking about is the people who actually use this, kind of having protocols in place, like
Yeah.
rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I said homeowners association, but you know what I meant, more
Yeah,
like a
okay,
maintenance
gotcha.
or,
Yeah, yeah.
Management plan.
yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So just something so everyone knows we're on the same page and, it's not a fist fight in the middle of it.
Yeah,
So we're reading about them in the current.
all right.
Anyone else?
I had a quick question, Assistant Chair. I just had a quick question about public transport. Is there any out in that area? I'm just thinking about people that drop off their car, or a caretaker that drops off the car. Instead of trying to get two cars, like, can you follow me so I can park this one and then I'll have another car?
I
If
believe
there was,
Nobody Farm Road has the narrative goes by there, so a block away.
so close enough, right?
Yeah, that
Okay.
would be my understanding. I think there's one at the auto parts store and I think one at Hinsdale, right? If I remember your section correct. So, yeah, thank you. Good
Okay,
question.
super.
Thank you. Anyone else?
No hands are raised.
Do we want a motion to continue?
Yeah, I'll make that
You're all set?
motion.
Sorry,
Where'd
before-
Barry
Thank
go?
you.
Wait, Barry?
He went to the bathroom.
All right, so I'll make a motion to continue till next meeting,
Okay,
April
the
14th.
14th. John, could you help me out with a second?
Second.
Okay. Nat, on your motion?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And the chair is an aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, the acting aye is just to tease Dave, but I have so many views in, so apologize. All right, so
But
next up,
assistant is a new one.
not a hope. All right, next up is 31, Easy Street Restaurant, 31 Easy Street, and that is Mr. Ken Gullickson. Welcome, Ken.
From this.
I'm good.
Nat Lowell's recusing.
mean,
We're going to
so-
ask this be continued to the April meeting.
Okay, April 14th.
Yes.
Do I need a motion?
Okay. I love that. Hurry up, Barry, get going.
All right, can you
We're
make a
little shy of
motion?
people here.
I'll make a motion at this point that we continue this till the 14th at the request of the applicant.
Mr. Kitchener?
Second.
Okay. Barry, any motion?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And the chair is an aye. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Ken. We'll see you next month.
The other person, Jim.
One.
Okay, moving on. Okay, welcome to 10 and 12 David Kim Lane Storage Facility, 10 and 12 Dov Kim Lane. And that is Arthur Reed. Is he online?
She's online.
Yeah, Arthur's up there now.
Welcome,
Okay.
Arthur.
Hi, I'm on. Thank you very much. This is an application for modification of the special permit that was granted in 2023 for 10 and 12 Dave Kim Lane, the storage facility to be constructed on that property. My client, who got the permits at that time of core development, subsequently has sold the project to DXD, which is a national company that is very experienced in the self-storage business. And the project manager for this project at the present time with DXD, Brandon Garcia, was to be on this call, but he just called me a minute ago. He's at the airport and his flight was just boarded. So I'm winging it alone today. He's winging it on the airplane. I'm winging it with you guys. So anyway, this is an application to place 14 vehicle storage units within the first floor of the westerly side of the self-storage building. No changes to the outline of the building or the layout of the property or anything. These spaces will be accessed from the driveway that's proposed to come down from the gate. There are already 10 parking spaces that are permitted, self-storage spaces in the as covered spaces, covered outdoor spaces along the westerly boundary line, as you can see on the plan that's up on the board. And this will involve the addition of these 14 additional spaces along the easterly side of that driveway. We wanted to come before the board. The staff report indicates, I think quite rightly, that we need to show engineering drawings that will support this and be able to be reviewed by Ed Pesci and so on. We wanted to go forward today to just discuss with you the project, that's what we plan to do, get any input that we can from the board, and we would plan to continue and come back to the next meeting with engineering materials and with answers, we would hope, to any other questions or concerns that you might have about what we're proposing. Other than this, there would be no change in the project. The operation of the access gate would remain the same. The hours of operation would remain the same as what you had previously approved. And with that, I would, as I say, appreciate any comments or suggestions that the board would have.
Thank you, Arthur. Commissioners, thoughts, comments? Go
So-
ahead, Nat, my second, number 2, Nat.
No. Oh, hang on, wait a minute.
Go ahead.
Did I do good? Mr. Reed, through you, what kind of storage are we looking at? Or is it just gonna be general storage, and the only thing we really should be worrying about is storing hazardous materials one more time?
Well, this would be vehicle, storage of vehicles, cars being parked there. It's not intended for use for hazardous materials. I heard the discussion that you just had with Rick on the previous application. No, I mean, cars have certain things inherently in them that can be treated as being hazardous, but we're not planning to use this as storage for anything like that, simply for the vehicles.
Okay, I'm sorry, I kind of maybe read a little bit too further into the application where I thought you were doing other types of storage besides vehicles, but,
Well, the building is a self-storage building. That's already approved as such.
I'm sorry, one more time.
Self-storage building.
Self-storage building, right, okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other commissioners' comments? No, anyone in the public? Okay. We'll Close the public?
Hang on.
Quick question, because maybe I missed it, sorry.
Go ahead, Ken.
Campbell Sutton. So the self-storage is already approved, is my understanding. And so the special permit adjustment is for the red spots, which will become vehicle storage? Is that the
Yes.
idea?
Yeah.
Okay, super.
Yes.
And Mr. Chair, if I may, perhaps keep if you all are not going to make a decision, keep the public hearing open. I had spoken with Mr. Pesci about this, and he was generally okay with the request, but wanted time to review as well as the fire department.
Then,
Okay.
yeah, I think we should
Yeah.
continue.
Amy, do you have a?
Yeah, thank you, Emily Molden. Again, I would just generally reiterate similar comments and support the additional engineering plans and conditions about maintenance and no washing of vehicles. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Em.
So just one more thing.
Yeah.
Through you?
Yeah.
So I think your idea was really good too, is that there should be some type of monitoring well or something out there as well with just a yearly kind of report to do it, considering what they're going to be storing on the property as well too. The only other thing is probably just some signage out there as well about no parking. Because just looking at just looking at the general vicinity of things here on GIS, seems like that's a favorite thing for people to do, is park wherever there's a green space, it turns into a parking space. So just something so that we're not incurring the same problem on this site as well too. Thanks.
Yeah, I agree. I think some of the concerns we had for the last application, I think should be transferred over and
Yeah,
reiterated here, which I think Arthur agreed with.
good.
All right. So, okay,
You want,
go ahead.
Continue.
Megan said,
Yeah, yes, no,
and Ed Pesci's review,
in light of that, and it also says the fire department.
Fire department.
yeah,
Yep.
that's who.
Okay. Anyone else? No,
What's their deadline? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
they have
Do
time.
you want to make that a motion, Nat?
Yeah, I'll make that motion to continue for the reasons we've stated.
Okay. Second.
Okay, Nat, any motion?
Aye.
Barry?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Do I need to bring over an alternate or no? No, because
Not yet.
Dave,
He's already on this. It's the same application, right?
yeah, so Dave is gonna read in.
Kind of, right?
Chair is aye.
Okay.
Yep,
Well, we'll see what happens.
right, yep. Okay. Moving on to, Stephen P. Langer, trustee, 11 and Trotz Hill Road, Paul Santos.
Thank you. Paul Santos with Nantucket Surveyors. Also, Sarah Alger represents the applicant and is here to answer any questions that may come up. This is a definitive subdivision or a Form B application for the applicant Stephen P. Langer, who is the trustee of two specific properties, 11 and 15 Trotz Hill Road. Both of these are residential lots located in the Lug 2 zoning district. One of the lots is a fully conforming lot. The other lot was pre-existing non-conforming through a ZBA application that had been made some years ago. Both of these lots, if you make reference to the plan that's on the screen now or maybe in front of you, both of these lots front on a proprietor's road to the west of what is the actual traveled way of Trotz Hill Road. So the plan that you see in front of you, Trotz Hill Road runs through the center of that parcel of land. The proprietor's road is to the far left. So the application before you is proposing to create a 20-foot layout along the easterly way known as Trotz Hill Road. It was formerly known as Diana City Road. This way is depicted on a Land Court Plan 15209A as road 20 feet wide with no specific name. A 20-foot layout was created by a subdivision on the property to the north of Locust and is depicted on Land Court Plan 14833C. Both Land Court plans have been submitted in the application. Billy, if we can slide down to the south a little bit. Oh, sorry, to the north. I go slide up to the north. Right there, you'll see the center of the property is the actual location of Trotz Hill Road. And to the north, you'll see the hammerhead. That subdivision, that property was subdivided whereby they, through a Form B process, created that section of the way with the hammerhead. But the area on the Langer property was never addressed within that application.
Right.
So what we're proposing to do is, at the end of the day, still have two buildable lots. It's just that we will have, through the Form B process, created a 20-foot right-of-way over what is the actual traveled way and is what is used as Trotz Hill Road. The property to the east will be one lot, and the property to the west will be another lot. Both of these lots will conform fully to the current regulations for the Lug 2 zoning district with regard to lot area of 80,000 square feet and frontage of 150 feet. The lot to the east, there is a small isolated wetland, which is located in the central portion of the lot to the east. The lot to the west has a significant wetland or wetland areas that traverse the property in a few different locations. Those are current delineations of the wetlands on the lot to the west. The lot itself does meet the criteria of 90%, having a 90% upland through the zoning requirement. So you have an 80,000 square foot lot, you would need 72,000 square feet under your zoning regulations for it to still be conforming within the Lug 2 zoning districts. Both of those lots meet those requirements. Because we are filing under the Form B process, I mean, essentially this looks like a glorified A&R plan, but because of the creation of the road layout, we're before you under the Form B. And to that effect, I've asked for a waiver of all non-applicable standards as set forth in sections 206, section 3, 4, 5, and 6, which would be all the subdivision rules and regulations with regard to the Form B process. Staff has recommended approval with the granting of the waivers. I've submitted another plan, actually, also. The first plan is the A&R definitive plan. The second plan is a more detailed plan that shows the topography of the site. The sites are serviced by on-site well and septic. The site to the west, with all the requisite setbacks from the Conservation Commission, including the most up-to-date revision that took effect in January. I have done soil testing on that lot to the west, and we can put a well and septic system. and comply with all the regulatory setbacks of the Conservation Commission. So site is mapped under NHESP. We will be making a file with them with regard to development on the lot to the west. So at the end of the day, the lot on the east basically stays as is, and the lot on the west, with the approval of this board, would be permitted through the Conservation Commission and the Board of Health for construction of a residential dwelling. And I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Commissioners, any comments? Go to the public?
I just need a minute, but go ahead.
What'd you say?
I say I just need a minute. I need to.
Okay. Wanna go ahead.
So Paul, the lot one is, I mean, there's not legal frontage right now without this road being
Well,
a.
if I can, Billy, we can go back to the
Yeah,
original
Mr.
plan.
Chair,
Yeah,
can
this
I
is-
also,
Sure.
I'll bring up something that helped me a lot while reviewing this,
This
if
is
you look at the screen.
This is an Andrew thing, this one.
This is, this is
And it keeps
existing.
crashing for some reason.
That's a little clunky.
This is existing. The road runs right through it. You have one lot to
I've
the
been to
north.
this place 100 times. I've just never thought of it as Trot Hills Road, so.
So then, oh, I got rid of the other, hang on.
It keeps, this won't stay up.
No, I'm having the same problem.
Yeah. Maybe
I
that's a
agree.
sign of something. Maybe that's daylight savings, something.
I can't even
doesn't
bring it
like
up on
you.
Google Maps. There you go. At least you
Use
got
that.
our.
So
Yeah.
you're going from sort of a property to the north, property to the south, to properties that are gonna straddle either side of the road, rather than have the road run right through the middle of it.
So instead of lot line east-west, it's going north-south and
Yeah.
the road.
Yeah, this
Fine.
is, yeah.
Pretty
Correct.
simple.
See what's going on, just trying to
Yeah.
put it in.
In that proprietor's road, you see, that's actually technically the frontage for the two lots that are there. It's not constructed. That's it's all the way to the west right there, yeah, between the Langer property and the Pilata property.
When you drive on that, that's how you get there. Okay. Very good.
Go ahead, Barry.
Yeah. Billy, I'm sorry. Can you bring that back up? You're going to hate me.
The planner, the plan?
The GIS, or whatever, the visual map that you had up. I want to go back for a sec. Can you just scroll down this way so we can, or yeah, advance? There you go.
Then that's 15 there. I'm gonna X out of that because it just reduces the screen down, but
That's
it's
fine.
this one and this one.
That's great. And just do me a favor, just pull back a bit further so I can see where it intersects onto, okay.
And that's onto Eel Point Road.
Eel Point Road.
That's the public beach.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, through you to staff, Mr. Chairman, is there any improvements that need to take place on that road itself, and especially at the intersection of Eel Point? Since that's where they're gaining access on, it looks to be a little ragtag. Or I don't know if that's too far outside of our jurisdiction.
This is like
I-
the middle of nowhere stuff
Yeah.
there.
No, I know, but here you go, all right, just because it's the middle of nowhere, it connects somewhere, and we shouldn't be
Well, there's a
dismissing it.
sneaky way
because-
to get up to
Right.
the old top of Capon Pond Road and all that.
But I'm just trying to say to you is that there's an opportunity where we can do any kind of even low-level improvement out in that area. We shouldn't dismiss that just because it is in the middle of nowhere. Because they're gaining part of that off of, I'm sure they're coming in through Eel Point Road to get there. So again, I mean, that's, I believe that's gonna be fair game for us just to be able to look at it and see if there's anything else that we need to do.
Yep.
So, thank you,
So
Megan.
to answer your question, that would be within the scope of what you're allowed to require.
Yeah.
However, I think you should take into serious consideration that you aren't adding any new lots, so you're not
Correct.
adding any additional traffic. In
Yep.
fact, you're actually taking a non-conforming lot and removing that non-conformity.
Okay.
So, again, while it's within your jurisdiction and purview to do that, I would caution you in
All right.
doing that for this particular application.
I appreciate it. You've vetted that a little bit more thoroughly.
Yep.
So, thank you for the feedback.
But I think just on that point, Barry, I mean, I know what Megan just said, I'm hearing that, but the one thing that is, you do have a bike path that goes by there, and it just seems like, looking at the image on the GIS mapping,
That's what I was.
there's some washout, and when I go by there, riding my bike,
Yeah.
you know, you always kind of see that.
How'd you get it to stay up?
No, that's great. There you go. That's what,
Yeah, so we could do something like that, Paul, just kind of a paved apron or Belgian block or something. You can just see this washout going across.
Yeah, you're talking about
bike path
the
on-
intersection of Eel Point and Trotz Hill.
yeah. Do you want to look at the map here for?
Can you bring up the
Yeah, I'm
GIS
familiar,
map and
yeah,
go to the
we
live
used-
map? And then drop into the property?
That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
No, that's fine, because I was having the same. I forget what the little is called.
Do you want the map back at the intersection of Eel Point Road?
Yeah, please,
Okay.
because that really is,
Point and Trotz.
yeah, that's really kind of telltale.
Just give me a moment, I axed out.
No, please, I completely get it.
That was the first 10-foot bike path on Nantucket.
There we go.
Yeah, this is where Trotz meets Eel Point.
So drop the little yellow man.
Yep.
He has a name and I can't remember his name.
Oh, does he?
Yeah,
Right there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just see as a washout, it's always there.
Yeah, but I think it might be paved there, though. I think it's just probably,
If there's,
Last time I went by, it was washout. So I just,
okay.
if it
All right,
built a block or
so,
pave it a little
yeah,
bit
I mean, I
more,
think we can,
just something to kind of take that. I think it's just someone going by there would
Okay.
be,
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't think it would be a paving situation, I think, if anything.
Yeah.
Just a small,
yeah, that was my only concern.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
thank you, thank you.
Hold on. Do you have a question? Or you-
No, keep
Okay,
going. No, no.
Campbell?
So just quickly, because I understand what you're talking about, and down the road, you can see where the same thing happens. And it looks like it's a combination, however, of where they leave Eel Point Road to cross over the multi-use path. That area between those two is dirty and sandy as well. And you can sort of see where the pavement goes in a bit. So I think it's that it's dirty, but that the sand is coming and going to your,
Yeah.
It definitely washes out.
to your point, but it's not just coming this way.
Yeah.
It's shared across the
No,
the
I mean,
space.
honestly, if I had my way, I think there should be a 10-foot rumble strip or something on every axis going
Right.
across the bike path.
Yeah,
Just to kind of give an awareness that you're coming up to a bike path, but that's my own personal.
but that's not,
But
okay,
that was my only
All right,
concern
we
I
can
had.
take a look at it, yep.
Otherwise
The road is actually in pretty good shape, so I'm assuming there is a homeowners association that, there's only a few residents down there, but I think between Pilates and Langers and everything else, they probably take care of that. It would be
Yeah.
just part of just
If there was
maintaining
just
that.
something that we can address it while you guys are here, I greatly appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, anyone else? Public?
No hands are up online.
All right, so I'll make a motion then that we close the public hearing.
Thank you.
Second.
Barry, any motion?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Do I need to bring someone up? or
No, this is
This is
not.
AR.
No, it's a subdivision, four of you.
Yeah, so I'd make a motion.
Hold on,
to-
chairs and I. Go.
Oh, so sorry.
Go, go, go. Now go.
Make a motion. Can't lag behind that
Yeah,
like
no,
that. I'd make a motion at this point that we approve the application as submitted with the findings and the discussions that we've had today.
Second.
Okay, Barry, any motion?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And the chair is an aye. Okay, thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Hey, moving on to South Valley Industrial Park, MCD Lovers Lane. And this is Paul Santos. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul Santos, for the record from Nantucket Surveyors. On behalf of the property owner, Gibo and Company Holdings LLC, whose manager and principal Gibo is sitting in the back row, who many of you are familiar with and know. 4 Lovers Lane, this is an application for an amendment to a previously granted special permit. And I'll read from the body of the application because it's brief, but I think it's concise at least. The applicant is seeking to modify the South Valley Industrial Park MCD special permit as it affects 4 Lovers Lane by changing the use of the commercial structure from the previously approved retail business to a recreational facility, in parentheses, fitness center or the like. The proposed tenant, Pure Jiu-Jitsu, doing business as Verdum Training Center, Nantucket, offers classes for all ages in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, as well as fitness center, weight training, memberships for adults. So 4 Lovers Lane is a commercial building located just south or west, I guess, of the intersection of Old South Road. Oh, I'm sorry. Is it that okay? Okay. So 4 Lovers Lane is located on the outskirts, obviously, of the former Glowacki property that's currently being redeveloped. The site itself has, the MCD for the site has a fairly good history. This building started as, I think, warehousing, went to a function hall, an auction house, then it went to a restaurant, then it went back, I think, to a warehouse when the tool supply and distribution center was in there, and that's kind of where it was left when Gibo brought the property. The use itself is, I guess, somewhat unique in the fact that recreational facility is a standalone use in your regulations that doesn't lump you in with personal services or retail uses. So the recreational facility, fitness center, or the like is a specific use to this particular application. Now, I'll start also by this, is that this business is currently occupying the building. So the building is being occupied by this tenant. This issue came about when Gibo was having some discussions with the tenant and staff with regard to the need that this needs to be permitted through the special permit process. So we were retained. We provided the site plan that you see before you, in which it sets forth the parking and the general layout of the existing building. Obviously, the property to the, let me get myself oriented here. The property to the east, we were before you for a preliminary plan for, I think it's 4 Nancy Ann Lane. Just recently, we did a 3-lot subdivision on that particular piece of property. Properties to the north are all developed, and the property to the south is the lumber.
Yes, Shepley.
Shepley, that's Shepley to the south. So the application itself, with regard to the specific use, a recreational facility basically is set up for 1 space for each 3 persons of total certified building occupancy, and then 1 space for each 3 employees on peak shift. So the certified building occupancy, or the number of persons that they expect or within that building, would be 40. So that would require 13 spaces. 1 space for each 3 employees on peak shift. At 6 employees would require 2 spaces for a total requirement of 15 spaces. The plan that you see before you shows 16 spaces. There is one historic space right at the front of the building that's been used, but it's partially located within the layout of Lover's Lane. So staff has noted that we can't use that space in our count, so we're basically, the plan that you see before you shows the requisite 15 required spaces with 15 provided, excluding that one that's partially within the layout of Lover's Lane. And there is one existing handicap space located at the front of the building. The site itself has traditionally worked in essentially a one-way in, one-way out, if you will. If you come in from Lover's Lane, you'll notice the way the parking is, the diagonal parking, and then you'd work your way around the building and go out and then dump out onto the property to the north, which is to Lover's Lane. While that's historically been done that way, this property does not necessarily have the benefit of an easement over that particular piece of property. There are a number of easements on that property. You'll notice to the right on that plan, you'll see access easements with recording information. Those are easements between Two Lovers Lane, Richmond Great Point Properties, and so forth. So there are easements within that area. Unfortunately, it's never been blocked, access has never been stopped, but there is no specific easement to get from Four Lovers and then go across Two Lovers Lane back out to Lovers Lane, or to traverse to the right and work your way through the Richmond Great Point property.
So what you're saying, Paul, Mr. Through you,
Is he done?
Mr. Acting, I just want to, I want
No,
to
yeah.
ask him a question, just with that one thing, Joe. So you're bringing that up because of the way the parking is set up, angled like this, in its existing situation, there's never been a problem.
Correct.
This is, I mean, Joe Armstrong probably didn't care. You know
No,
what I
and when it
mean?
was, that's right.
I
No,
mean, that's just the way it was.
Yeah,
You know,
it's-
now, when you start formalizing things, though, people start changing their attitude. So I understand why you're saying it now, that I'm figuring it out. The people aren't going to be able to turn around.
Well,
If
I
they
think,
had to go out the front, that would be kind of hard to do.
yeah, I think they can, Nat, I mean, I think you can work your way, it's an awkward situation, but you'd have to, the way the parallel parking is, or the diagonal parking is, you'd come down towards the end there, come in and then back yourself out and then go around. Again, that's not what happens. Everyone is doing it the same way they've always done it.
Yeah.
It's just a question of, at some point, whether someone decides to come out there and put a few blocks out and says, oh yeah, by the way, we're not letting you use this driveway anymore. There's potentially an issue.
Who's got control of that now?
Richmond.
Can I just kind of piggyback on that?
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming that J&J is also Mr. Gibo.
Yes.
Okay, so one of the things that kind of came back.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, J&J is not,
Oh, it's not?
no, it's not, that's not Gibo.
Okay, all right, so kind of the problem that we had with, what was it, 18 to 26 Sparks Ave, which is the old Donnie Flake
No,
and Cumbies was kind
He knows
of
all
access and all that stuff. I would love from Old South Road, Lovers Lane to Nancy Ann Lane and tying into Richmond Group, I'd love for any way possible to have everyone sit at the table with Mike Burns and us and work out some plan. Because right now you go in to, like, I don't want to call anyone up, the UPS store, and there's a dead end. And it was like, where are we going here? Can I go this way? Am I crossing someone's property? There's no real signage. And I really feel like it's kind of a problem or a disconnect we've been having where, and I get it, it's one application and it's a couple done it. And I, not assuming anything, but I also, what is Joe Armstrong going to do in a couple of years? What is someone else going to do in a couple of years? And Yazzi's, and how do we work? Everyone kind of work together as a group. And I don't really want to put you on the spot, but I would love for some way to someone send out a group email. Is there a way we can kind of work together? I feel like some of the stuff is getting ahead of us. This was also Forest Ave, that was also becoming a problem, and we were able to kind of work to them, but in the end, that didn't kind of come through. That plan has changed, but I feel like this is gonna come back and bite us in the butt, and I think the parking and then this roadway, and then you got Valero across the street, and any way we can kind of bring everyone together and work together, I think this would be really kind of a smart way to have one egress, or couple, or some way, shape or form, but some cohesive plan working together, I think would be really a wise way to go, so. Yep. Megan, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Can I just add, I think, it's really important to plan for future connection
Right,
points.
right,
I mean, we know that you all just saw a preliminary plan for the J&J Holdings property that will be developed in the near future. The property right next door where Old South Liquor is currently, we know that that is slated for redevelopment. So while they may not be willing to grant this property owner easements, this property owner can grant easements for future connectivity as they become developed on a lot-by-lot basis, and that's really important to maintain that.
And I think it would help with everyone's flow and working together and, being able to come from one site to another site and really kind of make this as the new downtown. I think if we can kind of organize this and have a proper plan, I think would be wise.
Internal, like when you're off island, you're at these little malls, these small ones, and everything connects. Like, you're not just all of a sudden go up to a curbing, have to pull out into a major roadway to go back into the same place.
Yeah.
I just think that what Joe is saying and bringing up, what we're talking about on Island Center.
Yep.
First thing that happened when you brought that in was we got that little path fixed.
Yep.
Right, for the people, so they have to walk all the way
Yeah.
out Hooper Farm. Oh my God! I mean, these are the nuances of Nantucket in a different than in town, but it's the same kind of thing. I think what Joe is saying is, you don't want to have this not all of a sudden be a problem. And you have to take those parking spaces and make them perpendicular. Now you got people
backing into the building.
backing up, and it's like it's perfect the way it is, as long as it can stay like that.
Yeah. And I think that having some, at least support, or knowing the town has reached out and maybe trying to bring people together, I think will be better for
Have you
all
talked to
us,
Dave
know what I mean? It's all-
Arminetti?
Like I
Is
said,
Dave in
it's
charge
worked
of
this
that?
way for years. No one said a word,
No.
but I'm
Oh,
looking at it,
not-
I'm going, well, this is dumping onto this property. Where's my easement to do it?
Right.
So,
Billy, do you have a hand raised?
Yeah, I wanted to the final page of the packet, I had added this in to give everyone a more clear picture of the overall. This was the 3-lot subdivision that was approved through a preliminary plan was approved at last month, I believe, or maybe January.
Yeah.
And then you have 4 lovers here. So it is kind of tying in together. And then, we're in staff discussions about this. I had my sort of light bulb moment. If you ever go to Hyannis and you go to McDonald's, you want to go to Harbor Freight next door?
Yeah.
You can't.
Well,
You can't pull
it-
through.
Right.
Well,
Okay, there are a few that you can. I agree. That's true.
That's
And that-
where I was
and
like, oh,
old
that makes
barber shop, you can't
sense
go
to do
behind it. I know. I've seen that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what are we doing?
well, I think, there were a few, just going back to the staff report, and like Billy had said, that last
That space,
item.
number one space has to be eliminated.
Yeah, the one space, which is fine. It doesn't count towards the parking requirement that we had. Unbeknownst to Jibo, the area to the north there were some photos in here. That gravel area right there, looked like they were putting some parking spaces in there that were kind of appeared after I did my site plan.
Appeared.
They've been advised that they can't park there, and there's a bunch of cones out there, if you went out there this morning, so I think they got the message. And also out in Lover's Lane, there were some spots there too that they were putting some. So they've acknowledged that they can't park anywhere other than what's on the site currently right now. With the thought that we, maybe work together on this whole issue of it not becoming a problem with regard to, what's
It's a
been
flow
done
issue.
for years to be continuing going in and out of the property.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna say anymore, I've said enough. Barry, you had your hand up.
No, I just want to say I agree with my colleagues. I think you need to spend a little time just trying to work some things out so we get better access to other sites that are in proximity to it, so that that they're forced to have to go in and out in times. It actually encourages, I think, sometimes better things with what's going on, like a convenience store or the liquor store, and it just makes it easier. The other thing is, and I just want staff to kind of check in, is there anything that we should be looking at with the bike path directly across the way? And maybe something they can be assisting with?
You mean a Lovers?
Yeah, and
Another
Lovers,
one?
yeah.
I hadn't thought about this when we chatted with Mike. We were focusing on
get it.
access and interconnectivity and
Yep.
easements, not bike path
Well,
contributions, so.
yeah, we're not going to wrap this up tonight by any stretch, but I think it's worth, I'd like you to bring that into the conversation as well, please, since it's something that we're working on and just almost pretty near done, but not quite. Yeah,
I guess my only comment to that, Barry,
Please.
would be, if I'm, I mean, this is what it is. It's always been, like I said, we've gone through how many machinations of what this building is. It's there. I think this is a pretty good use for this facility. I mean, I think the site sets it up pretty well for it. It's a good use. He's occupying basically the entire building. So from that end, I think we're just trying to legitimize, the way they're kind of operating the site, and then trying to, in the future, make sure that we don't have a problem, moving forward.
yep.
Yeah, and the J&J, I just kind of assumed that it was Jibo because it was working together and the.
Well, I don't think Chibo's here, but that's not.
You gotta go to Mike? You gotta go to Mike.
Please, yeah, Mike, and identify yourself, please, for the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Jibo.
Hi.
Well, hello, everyone. So to quickly
Your
refer
name
to
for the
what
record.
J&J is,
Jibo,
Excuse me.
name for the
You have to say
record.
who you are.
sorry?
Name for the record.
Irakli Jibladze, AKA Jibo.
Thank you.
I just want to have you say that. Go ahead.
So J&J, might eventually end up, it's kind of tricky, but I don't own it. I actually don't have any financial interest in it just yet. What I have is an option to buy it out at some point down the road, which I'd love to do. However, I cannot make any concessions, at this point as is, with respect to any access or having a road, that was suggested here that would go through the parking lot and have an easement coming all the way out. Even though that might make really good sense, but at this point, it's not something, I can grant.
But you're willing to sit at the table with Mike Burns and the group and have a conversation?
Yeah.
Totally fine. Anything I can do that pertains to 4 Lovers Lane, happy to do it. It's a great, in a way, having these guys as tenants there kind of solves another problem that the town has been dealing with, which was on Amelia Drive, blah, 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 without getting into too much of that. And as Paul noted, I also do believe that it's a great use for the space. Originally, the way building is set up to, you would come through Lover's Lane and, kind of go back around and, you would have an access to that road, which is not a road. It would be ideal to have an access granted. However, that might be, how to say this? That might be in a conflict of interest of, I believe the Richmond and/or the liquor store owners are in control of that road. So I'm happy to, sit down and talk to anyone and everyone, whatever helps. But the J&J Holdings, that's not something I can make, any concessions as of yet.
Okay. But glad you're open to sitting down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else?
No?
Motion to continue.
Yeah.
Public? No?
Public, oh, good.
Yes, we're good.
Motion
Hang
to
on,
continue.
did you
Oh,
want to say something?
There's
Dave?
no hands up online.
No, there's,
Okay.
sorry, just caught him on.
So Paul, you all set to motion continue, or Dave?
Hold on.
Hi, Dave Schultz, a butter on Lovers Lane. And that property was several things, as Paul was saying, but it was never in this kind of a scope. The scope is a little bit larger, there's more traffic going through there. It becomes kind of a jumbled mess there when there's classes. I'm totally about fitness. I want fitness to be part of the community. But the space it's tying up that road, and we've got more gyms all over the road there, and it's more traffic, more congestion, more garbage. It's been a mess over there. Neighbors, just kind of talking with the neighbors, and we're kind of upset about this situation. The building's great. I mean, that is a perfect size for what he's doing over there, but it's just a mess over there, what we're experiencing.
Yeah. And I think, Dave, that's why I'm trying to have him come to the table
Yeah,
and
no, I
organize and
agree.
quiet
I agree.
the traffic,
can
and we can
happen.
make some internal,
Yeah.
yeah, because you have a residential and commercial, you're gonna have that butting up to each other, but if we can kind of
Figure that
have a
out.
master plan, if you will, of this area, I think it would really help quite a lot of the
Yeah, the
stuff. And now
flow
you're,
is-
now you're gonna have all people coming down Lovers Lane,
Yeah,
so.
there's no flow. It's no
Yep,
flow.
then I'm a driver that experiences it, so I know what you're feeling, so thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank
We
you.
do have Erica Mooney's hand raised.
Okay. Erica?
Sorry, I was just gonna say, what date are you continuing it to? Because the motion didn't note that.
What?
I'm sorry.
April 14th.
Oh, okay.
April 14th.
Right.
Does that help you, Erica? Where's she going?
Yeah, it does. Just reminding you that your motion has to include a date certain.
Yeah, we haven't gotten that.
We
far,
have,
but
we
thank
haven't
you.
made a motion yet.
We haven't, no,
No.
but you've got some more testimony coming up here
We're good.
from the applicant.
We're good. Do you have one more last thing?
One last thing, a couple of things I wanted to address, one of which is the parking in the back that, all of a sudden showed up, to my surprise as well. Literally, I never leave this island. I was gone for a couple of weeks, and the guys decided to, clean up the back of the building, which historically has been used as a parking for kind of like no man's land, right? People used to park there coming out of liquor stores, or people just used to park there per se and leave vehicles. And I never actually, it never really bothered me, so I never put any cones or any of that. But these guys wanted to make it kind of like nicer and everything. And all of a sudden I'm getting a call from Paul, hey, what happened here? I was like, I guess it got cleaned up. So what I wanted to refer to is that area has been used as a parking. Now, we're not, we do understand that that's not something we can use as parking spot. However, it's, can't harm to have it somewhat more organized rather than, and I understand why they did what they did and how they did it. It's not an excuse, or it's not, any sort of ask for any, easements or, extra parking, how to say this, anyway, any ploy to gain extra parking spots there. And also, another thing I wanted to address is the trash that, that was mentioned. Typically, the trash that we have there, and that might be one of the great ways to kind of like sit down and talk about like what would make the most amount of sense. Most of that trash, and all of that trash, I want to say, is actually from people using liquor store and throwing away all the beer cans or bottles. I mean, we all also know that across the street from Lovers Lane what kind of issues that the whole community has, and that's kind of like cleaning up that area is going to be beneficial for for the master plan, so to say, for everyone there. While when it's all nice and tidy, people tend to make lesser of a mess. So it could be a win-win here to kind of find a solution where, maybe we can, gain the access and instead of kind of demonizing, the excess parking or, extra traffic flow, I think, obviously this, they need to be somewhere, and it's kind of, on Amelia Drive, that was their old place, like, they used to have all sorts of problems and whatnot, but, if we can find that solution again, I think it could be a good scenario for everyone.
Yeah, thank you. And one of the things that I had based on that photograph is, could we get privet along there or split rail fencing or something to kind of delineate that? And I thank you for cleaning it up, but I do think it is going to be used, as you guys kind of added some 6x6s and really went over and beyond your permit. So
Correct.
I think that we should definitely delineate that as no parking. And I'd love to say put privet up there or something, but I feel like that would become, trash bin over the top. But personally, I would like to see the privet. I think would soften this neighborhood and really help kind of quiet some of the vertical structuring that's here. And there's just no landscaping anywhere along this area, so, or limited. So that's kind of my vote. I don't know what anyone else feels.
Privet's easy.
Okay.
Or evergreen.
So you can, come back with your permit and kind of see what your evergreens or Lelands, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
So,
So
yes.
make a motion, we continue to the 14th of April.
Second. Thank you. All right, Barry, any motion?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And the chair is an aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to 21 Amelia LLC, 21 Amelia Drive. That is Paul Santos and Sarah Alger.
This is flip-flop. Sarah's on these.
She's letting Paul.
Thank you. For the record, Paul Santos with Nantucket Surveyors on behalf of 21 Amelia Drive LLC. Also, Sarah Alger, attorney representing them, is here also. By way of reference, the Jim has been following me around. I was like, oh, the Jim left 21 Amelia Drive. Way to go. Next thing I know, Jibo's calling me. So this is an application for an amendment to a previously granted special permit for 21 Amelia Drive. You're all familiar with the property. It's the property at the end of Amelia Drive, adjacent to Granite City Electric. And in fact, the property or access to the property shares a shared driveway easement like many of the properties along Amelia Drive do with the Granite City Electric. The applicant is requesting, on the space that was vacated by the gym, the applicant is requesting that the MCD special permit in planning board file, I won't go into that, or planning board file, or that was dated August 9th, 2021, and then further modified in December of 2023, be further modified to allow a portion of the premises to be used as a convenience store. Original property was approved as residential units, office space, and garage bays. We came back and modified the MCD permit to designate a portion of the office space for personal services. At that point, it was a nail salon, and that's what is currently occupying a small portion of the building itself. So the plan that you see before you, you see suite, I think it's 107 is the nail salon. The area we're talking about is suite 106, and it would be one of the garage bays, which I think is 108. So the special permit sets forth the allowed uses for the premises as apartments 4, office suites 3, garage bays 3, and personal services, 1,100 square feet. The current owner has leased the office suites and one garage bay to a tenant and requests that the approved uses for the portion of the premises be converted to a convenience store with a small area sublease for personal services, which is already the nail salon. The tenant also leases one of the apartments as an inclusionary unit for employee housing. And actually, one other of the apartments units is actually rented by Granite City Electric and is utilized by them for space for I believe one of their employees. So it's a short walk across the street, but they've actually utilized one of the residential apartments for their use. The leased area, which do not include 3 of the apartments and 2 of the garage bays, would be as follows. Suite 105, the garage is 400 square feet. 106, commercial of 1,150 square feet, which is a proposed convenience store. And then 107, commercial is 630 square feet, which is the personal services subtenant. So and then the number of peak employees for the purposes of the calculations is set forth as 6 for the proposed development. Under the current special permit, the required parking for the premises was set at 18 spaces, with 16 spaces being provided. So the board had previously granted a waiver of 2 spaces. As proposed under this application, there'd be no change to the approved parking. The way that breaks down, on the bottom section, Billy, if you slide that one up there, you'd see personal services and a convenience store would be parked at 1 space per 200 square feet of gross floor area. That then tacks on 1 space for each 3 employees on peak shift, and the apartments would be parked at 1 space per bedroom. So the personal services convenience store required 10 spaces. The employees at peak shift is 2 spaces, apartments at 6 spaces for a total of 18 spaces, whereas 16 were provided and have been provided on the site. In speaking further with the proposed tenant, the owner reached out and provided this. So I'll give you a brief description of what they've described, how this convenience store would actually operate. It says, at La Repubblica Mini Market, we seek to serve the needs of the Hispanic community in Nantucket, offering a selection of essential household products. We specialize in products from the basic Latin basket with focus on the Dominican, Salvadorian, and Brazilian communities. Among the items available, we have rice, beans, oil, sugar, coffee, traditional flours such as corn and yuca, sausages, dairy products, preservatives, and a variety of spices and condiments essential in our customers' kitchens. Our goal is to contribute to the access to quality products, promoting cultural diversity on the island, and offering a convenient option for those looking for authentic ingredients. The hours of operation, the intended hours of operation would be 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. You do have a few letters
I saw that.
in the file, obviously, that relates specifically to the parking, which everyone's aware of on Amelia Drive. And those are completely within the folder there. With regard to staff comments, the board should carefully evaluate the proposed convenience store use, including its expanded expected hours of operation. The site shares driveway access with 23 Amelia Drive, Granite City Electric, and contains 16 spaces that are not designated exclusively for the convenience store. This may result in insufficient parking for the proposed use. Additionally, the board should ensure that any enforcement issues are addressed and that the site opens in full compliance with the approved plans. If the request is approved, staff recommends a follow-up date in future regular meeting, approximately 6 months, to assess the store's operations, adherence to parking requirements, site conditions, in compliance with any conditions set by the board. Simultaneously with this, the proposed tenant has been in discussions with the Board of Health with regard to specific requirements the Board of Health would have for a convenience store at this location. The site is currently serviced by on-site water and public sewer. Sarah is here to answer any other questions that may come up, and I'm happy to discuss the proposal further.
Big ball. Commissioners, thoughts?
I'm gonna,
You want to go first?
yeah. As Amelia Drive turns, we could make like a soap opera or something, you know, as the world turns, as Amelia turns, you know, 23 feet wide, not 28.
Yep.
Over and over ad nauseum. I don't know when or if that on-street bump-in plan is ever gonna happen to save the trees. I don't know. But we've had a lot of change in the street over the last, I mean, obviously meat and fish was the biggest at the end, but still, we talked about one way. I mean, now we have the weight cut through, which has changed everything. I mean, I read the letters, obviously. I mean, I don't mean to marginalize letters, but it's never been not a problem for something to happen on Amelia Drive, or what it is. So I see this as just a natural change or use. Now, we could say that this place would be packed, but we have other places for the same stuff. And so it just spreads the same people out, in my opinion. Whatever they're gonna be selling in there, there are already other places doing the same thing. So I'm not worried about all of a sudden this being like the big attraction, just because it's, you know what I mean? They already have stuff at the UPS store place and on Nobody Farm. So I just, you know, I'm not concerned about it. I think better management, just like what we just talked about at the previous application, Paul.
Yep.
Formalizing things from the old days to now is a really big deal. Sharing parking with other locations like Granite City reminds me of Kitty's, when we couldn't do anything with anybody else's parking until everybody woke up and said, hey, they're gonna use my parking now, right? So, I mean, I think the biggest issue is flow too, like perpendicular parking, you can't help it, you can't put angle parking here. It has to work like this. As long as there's enough space between the aisles wide enough, people can back up.
Yep.
And large vehicles pulling in there to get something, that's an issue, but other than that, I'm not concerned about it.
Thank you, Nat. Anyone else?
John has his hand
Mr.
raised, and then
Kitchener.
I can.
John, go ahead.
Now.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. I guess see it a little differently than that. I do think that a convenience store is going to, just by the nature of it, add to the traffic and parking issue compared to what we currently have. So without any kind of reducing or eliminating the two-piece waiver, I think it's going to be worse, and I would not like to see that. And I certainly don't think we should be, approving the two parking space waiver. So, the fact that Amelia Drive has become such a problem is not a reason to say, well, a little bit more doesn't matter. It does matter. So it is a problem, and we should be working to reduce it, not potentially add to it. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
you want to add it?
No, go ahead.
No?
Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm going to respectfully disagree with Nat. I think the moment that you brought a convenience store into play, you also brought into the fold a greater intensity of use of the site. And that's where all of a sudden the parking space is at 16. I think that it worries me tremendously. I think we need to plan for the 18 somehow. Now, if that means also granting getting some type of easement from Granite City, so be it. But if it does happen with Granite City, the other thing I'll ask you to do too is make sure you put a pedestrian access across so that they can at least get back and forth without too much of a problem. That really is my biggest concern, is just, I'm worried about how the whole thing's supposed to flow. And like I said, this may be much ado about nothing. But I would certainly, I think at first blush, I think we need to be a little bit more diligent with trying to see what else we can do to pick up some more parking. If we're gonna do a review too, I'd probably suggest the review be done at 6 months and 12 months out. So that way we get a full year cycle about what's going on. And then maybe make a determination from there if we need to go back in after another year. But I think a full year's worth of time will really tell a lot of things about how the site is functioning. But that's kind of where I'm at for my first blush of things with this.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
Yep, go ahead.
What about employee parking separate, Paul?
Well, I think.
Having them somewhere else? or-
Yeah, in the
That
packet,
makes it a lot
I'll go
easier.
back and read, which wasn't part of the information that I read, but I'll just kind of, let me see this section here.
You got one space for each 3 employees, peak shift 6. I mean, I'm just saying, this
Right.
is like Millie's, kind of situation. Get certain vehicles that you got control of out of there. And so you're opening up the other spaces.
When it passes like we do.
This was actually in the body of the email that, I won't go into but if this was regarding the employees that I'll have, it would only be my wife, another person, and I, but we can park outside because I do not have to leave the parking. I would leave the parking for the client so they can come and go quickly. So there was a conscious, at least in that email, to understand that, they're not going to take up spaces for what they were doing. The tenant does actually, proposed tenant does have another facility, operates another business on Amelia Drive, actually. So, and then Barry, to go, Billy, can I go back to the site plan? Just, and oddly enough, for some reason, today was the lowest amount of cars I've ever seen on Amelia Drive driving down the street. So I don't know why, but the left side typically is completely loaded, but today it wasn't. The way it actually is setting up is there's actually 2 spaces when you drive in right next to the stairwell there, on that side. There's been a car there. I've seen cars parked there, and then they just drive right in and loop right around and then go right into the site. It's actually just kind of how it's been set up. That's how they're kind of doing it. But I think a conversation with Granite City Electric is as Barry had said, is the way to go. So.
Or again, I'm sorry. So I think if there's another, certainly the employee parking may be the best one that you have the best control over. And as long as we knew that it was somewhere within proximity, I think that's fine. If he owns another site, as you said, he owns another site on Amelia Drive, and if we can be assured that without disrupting that business, we can pick up those 2 spaces, that may be a good thing for us to be able to do, and that way the site all of a sudden becomes a lot more workable.
Similar to what we have in the Mid-Island Plan Overlay District, where you can count spaces that are somewhere or something along that line.
And then just as a refresher too, again, looking at a lighting plan and also a landscaping plan as well too, because it could use a little bit out there. From what
From
it
that
is.
point, I tend to find that
Go ahead.
a gentleman's agreement or a handshake agreement on parking all seems to work, and then when you actually say, can we put it in writing and put an easement? That's when it
Well,
becomes a problem.
I mean, they're
But that's
closed
just
when
it.
it's.
Yeah,
That's just it. It has, a gentleman's agreement is lovely.
yeah.
But
Well,
like you said too, when the gentlemen walk away from the table, it may be a different experience. And in the future, they may decide to do something different. They may decide, we want to own it, but we want to hire employees to manage it. So I think just knowing that we've secured that somehow would be really important.
And the reality is the parking.
Sorry to get you up.
When you look at the strict application of the regulations, parking numbers actually work out the same. I mean, but the perception in the convenience store as opposed to when it was office, it just, the way the numbers work, personal service and stuff, it did work out the same. But
And I'm sorry, before I forget, explain to me deliveries in the site as well too. Because that's going to be another big thing.
yeah, okay.
Because we certainly don't want the deliveries or the delivery vehicles doing something on Amelia Drive just because it's way convenient.
Yeah.
So understanding what needs to take place, whether it's temporary along the driveway or whatever, but to have some real firm sense about how that's going to work out. Because I think if we, again, just assume everything will work well, that may not work well. So let's try to formalize that a bit better if we could, please.
And
Yeah.
I should know this, but because I did the parking lot, remember the bank gave the that community space? Now,
Right.
How does that work? Is that
They
just
you just
first
used it.
come, first serve? Because I did that parking
think
lot. How does
so.
that work?
I don't remember.
Down, right, because the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Specifically, we graded that, we did everything, so it could be used as a public.
Honestly,
as a
if that
parking
went away,
space.
we'd be in trouble. It works
Right.
really well.
Yeah.
Does
It's,
it stay there permanently, or I'm just trying to wonder who uses it? Yeah.
it's worth looking at.
What's that?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense too.
Oh, Sarah's here.
I just had two
Hi.
questions. Hi, Sarah Alger for the applicant. I just wondered, with the hours being 9 to 7
Seven.
PM, 9 AM to 7 PM, is there a time period that you're most concerned with? Or is it the entire 9 to 7? It's the entire 9 to 7.
Personally, I'd say the entire time frame, because mornings people are about at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, at 12 noon, you've got a certain number of people who may just be trying to do things. 2 to 4 o'clock becomes the whole school iteration things. And then 5 o'clock starts defining one more time interval.
Okay,
So I think just doing it quickly off the top of my head,
right.
I think there's enough there to say, yeah, we should,
And did Paul mention that they're not proposing any prepared foods?
No, he didn't, but that's important
that is important to know.
because that's less
Yeah,
traffic.
because I thought that's
But-
gonna cut down on the number of people that decide to
At lunch.
drop by at lunch and pick up something
I-
that they can eat in there.
If you
Yeah,
make traffic somewhere else, that's a problem.
Well, I mean, people are gonna go where they're gonna go, but.
But I kind of feel like someone's like, oh, I'm gonna pop in for 2 seconds and I'll just block this driveway, I'm gonna pull in here
Yeah.
or something.
Right.
And then run in and all of a sudden there's a line or there's a computer problem. That's
Right.
where I think the problem could come,
So I
so the
think-
parking waiver would be an
And-
issue for me.
No prepared foods is something that they're prepared to.
So we
agree
can
to.
put that in the decision when
Yeah.
it gets to that.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
good.
But again, too, with any kind of MCD we do, things can change into the future as well, too, by going back and reopening the MCD and asking for a revision to it. I think it's better for us to try to capture this as best we can now. And that really allows, I think we can all rest easier into the future as opposed to, 3 years later, it's like, yeah, we really want to do that now.
Right.
It's not a problem.
Well, it's not the end of the world for
No.
people to come back in, but.
Oh, never. I don't
I-
want to suggest we would discourage that by any
No.
stretch.
The only other thing I wanted to mention, and I don't know if this will become a reality or not, but I'm thinking that this could become a place where people might actually walk to, from the surrounding neighborhoods.
the other side.
Particularly once you have the all the housing that's gonna be along Waite Drive, Tacoma Green, all in place, people might actually decide it's
But
easier.
there's an access right from Seeker now,
Right.
which
Seeker
then
now,
ties you into Beach Plum, et cetera.
that it would be easier rather than getting in your car and dealing with the traffic and parking, but to just actually walk over there and buy
So-
what you have to buy and walk away.
Yeah, and I don't, listen, I understand, and I think that it could be something very helpful to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But the parking is an issue, and I think one of the things that Nat brought up, I believe, was the supplies. And I feel like if that was something that if Granite City was gonna give a waiver to, that they are better trained at parking in the right place and being more responsible, where I think I'm gonna blame myself at times where I'm like, I'm just gonna park here and run in and come out. But I just would say that the delivery trucks are much better at adhering to rules, regulations. I have to park here and then run the supplies across the way. I mean, I don't wanna have them run across miles, but I think that that would be somewhere, if there were to be a waiver, I think that Granite City might allow that more easily.
Right.
So, go ahead.
Understood.
Billy, can you do me a favor? Can you drop that plan down so we can see the back end of the property? There you go. Yeah. What's that? Oh, so that's,
Yeah, I
okay,
believe
so
that's-
that's, all right, no.
If I could say, I think.
5 and 7,
I think
wait.
we're thinking about the same thing maybe. So see, if you see Joe Manning's building?
Yeah.
So what was Joe Manning's building? That now is being completely renovated by a Safe Place.
Right,
So Safe Place actually occupies space in my building at our building at 500 Way.
sure.
So they do not require a lot of parking for what they do. So that's an opportunity to maybe we can reach out to Safe Place.
I was wondering about that one.
Because they're only there, 9 to 5.
Which,
Very rarely at night is there anybody ever in the building, and Joe's got, it's a fair amount of parking that we've got on the backside of that.
Is that like 15? But the only difference is that Safe Place has to have one parking space in the front, one in the back for privacy.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Other than that, this lot, I think for their use, I don't want to speak on their behalf, but I feel like that may be somewhere that you could maybe get some parking spaces. Go ahead. to your point.
so why I wanted to look at that, I couldn't quite remember what was on the backside of it. But if there was an opportunity to put in a pedestrian easement, which I don't think there is now, yeah, I'm just, because all of a sudden what that does is it opens it up to a number of dwelling units that are already being developed in there. And it also opens it up to Waite Drive as well. So again, that's something, this is just flying right off the cuff. But it might be worth just working with staff just to see if there's any legitimacy to that or not. Thank you.
Kind of like the Downey Lake property.
Yeah, same idea.
Thank you.
Okay. So,
Public?
Public?
Yeah, Erica has her hand raised.
Erica, welcome again.
Hi, Erica Mooney from the town of Nantucket. Couple questions or a couple comments. I have definite concerns about any waiving of the parking. And the comment earlier about employee parking, they'll park off-site because they haven't, they'll be there all day. Where off-site? Because we're already having issues with people parking on the road on Amelia, that they're parking at 2FG, that they're parking on Waite Drive, and none of those areas really are intended to be the overflow for Amelia Drive. And the town is currently undergoing studies on the parking at 2 Fairgrounds Road and Waite Drive to figure out a better parking area. And we're also developing a plan for better sidewalk and parking on Amelia Drive. So I just would really hate to go ahead and waive parking spaces, because when you do that, people get pushed somewhere else. And regarding Barry's comment about an opportunity to put in a pedestrian easement, The plan for Wake Drive already includes 2 pedestrian easements, plus we've already put in a driveway from Amelia to Wake Drive, so I don't know that there's a need for another one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And to that point, this is something I wanted to bring up was, I know that NERD is free now, but I would like to maybe in your plan to say that, you know, NERDA passes, if at a date later on that we do go backwards, that we do have passes for employees, that they can kind of come and go from this. I know it's a little bit far away down the other Amelia, another one at Fairgrounds that we just spoke tonight, but I think anything we could do, kind of plan for ahead, say, God forbid, we lose that funding for, you know, NERDA being free right now, which has been very successful. But I think it's something that we can do that as well. But I do, I am not really up for giving a waiver on parking. That's my opinion. All right, go ahead now.
Okay. This area is going to continue to change.
Right.
Okay? There's going to be new tenants switching, different businesses, like we just mentioned about Joe, which is actually a pretty intelligent thing. I didn't even know that was going on over there as far as, this is reminding me of other places that have done the same thing where all of a sudden one business that was kind of intense switches to something that isn't, and something else goes somewhere else that's more intense. It just bounces around. I mean, we can't count 1 or 2 car spaces like it's holding the world. We have to assume that there's going to be relationships developed with these different businesses over time, and they'll work themselves out over 1 or 2 car spaces. I mean, look what we went through with you. I know you weren't here, but you know what's going on. What happened with meat and fish? I mean, meat and fish was a huge deal. Okay, as far as, and I watched Cisco drive through that parking lot, that pup trailer, and end up going out. Unbelievable that they do it. Now, not every time. I'm just saying, I've seen it sitting there, my dentist appointment, watching them do it. I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. So it's not their fault that Amelia Drive is not wide enough. No one thought of it. And this is in the 80s. I don't know. I wasn't involved, but whatever, that's what happened. So I think that we have to have a little bit of understanding as to the intensity versus real intensity. You know, how much parking was being used in its previous use? Do we know what it was like, Paul, with the previous use?
Yeah, I mean, the gym was in there.
I mean, was that
It's
a
a lot,
lot?
yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I
So
don't.
I think you have an idea of how
How do
it
you
was
compare
working.
that to a convenience store that doesn't have takeout? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but it's like Cumbies where you have people just parking anywhere.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
And talking when we were trying to negotiate a deal between Cumbies
I know.
and we'll call the Downy
And we're
Flake.
finally
There
gonna
was an
fix it.
issue because the owner didn't know that what people going in the wrong way and backwards and they're trying to get them out of there. So based on that, I feel this has been problematic, but we also can't hang our hat on say place being there forever and like what happens and so.
Exactly.
They just moved in. They're not going to be there forever. Nobody's going to be there forever.
But
That's the thing.
if I understood Erica right, is the town seriously looking at widening this or?
No, there was a plan when they took the road. That's why I talked
Well,
about
this
the
is private,
bumping.
that's why I was kind of.
Amelia Drive is a public road now.
Okay, well, Paul's
now
place
it
is
is.
private.
Yeah, it
Okay,
is
well,
now. No,
you're
it's
private on
planned.
your plan.
What's that?
It says private on your plan.
Oh, does it? Yeah, no, it was taken. It was.
Okay,
taken
that's
like
kind of what
3
I
years
thought.
ago.
It's
Can
all
we,
my-
can we hear from staff?
Yeah,
I just want to bring up the point, the ability to have the parking spots at a safe place count for the parking spots here is not going to be a possibility because they actually have a parking waiver. So while in practice, their site might be used less intensely, they do have a parking waiver as well. So they don't have free spots to give up.
okay, okay, thank you. That's off the table. Okay,
I know that. I'm talking about, like, Ron Bambus parking spaces don't count for kiddies, but they use them. There's actually signs there, and it works perfectly fine, but it didn't work perfectly fine 20 years ago. That's the point I'm trying to make. I mean, we all can't have our little fenced-in little cubicles for every car.
But
I
that's
mean,
the management plan. That's everyone sitting down.
That's why
Right.
it has to be worked out in some fashion that is, you know, some kind of condition, some kind of way of making it formalized. That's the all, but I understand what you're saying, Megan. I know that, obviously.
We'll go to Campbell.
Hi, good evening again, Campbell Sutton. So I'm sort of with Matt. I think a lot of this is going to be pedestrian use, right? A lot of people in the area or people that have already parked somewhere, or instead of getting in their car and driving down, just because of all the inconveniences of driving down Amelia, the tendency is going to be to find a spot and then walk around and do your business. That's one thought. The other is, with that thought, some form of bike rack or some place for bicyclists to park their cars for, or their bikes for convenience might be helpful. And the, what was, dang, I forgot the other one. But I think the pedestrian nature of that area, oh, I know what it was. Okay, so you were looking at the backside for a pedestrian way, and I believe 7 and 9 that were up last month, I think, on Waite Drive. I believe to the right of 9 is a utility easement,
Correct.
I believe. That,
You're right.
I'm just sort of throwing that out as maybe that, because as you say, people will find their own way through, right? And so if they see a spot where they can walk through to get to Amelia Drive, and it's more convenient than walking down to the next connection, informally, they're just going to, you know, start to do that. But I just wanted to, because 7 and 9 are very packed between parking and dwelling units on those lots. So that's why I was mentioning that easement.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think 9 dumps on a safe places lot, so I think 5 would, if there was anywhere to get access, it would be. All right.
Just quickly, I think we kind of,
Yeah.
we
That's where I
kind
was
of
just-
need to try to get this a little bit
Well, I
right,
think
because
Paul needs-
given the propensity of the number of people who like to park on this Amelia Drive itself, they ain't walking. They're like, we're here, we're done. So I think it's really important to do everything we can, as opposed to, I'd rather get it done the right way, and then if we need to in the future, we don't need them, great, let's do something else with it. But I don't want to count on certain things happening where they really don't happen, and then all of a sudden it's like, planning board, what were they thinking when they had the opportunity?
No, I agree, and
So-
I think it sounds like a continuance is coming.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
You have everything you need, Paul?
Yeah, no, thank you. We
Okay.
appreciate the input. So, I
So-
think we're good.
Good.
I'll make a motion, we continue to April 14th then.
Thank you, Barry.
Second.
Thank you, Nat. Barry, any motion?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And the chair is an aye. Thank you,
Thank you.
Sarah and Paul. Okay, moving on, if I can get my fingers to work. Okay. So other business, planning board meeting. It's a joint meeting with the select board and the FinCom, which is Thursday, March 13th. And that is 4 o'clock remote only. Kind of excited to have that meeting. I think it'll be good.
Yeah.
Planning board meeting, regular meeting is Monday, April 14th, and that will be hybrid. And motion to.
Real quick, can I just add, we are hosting the master plan visioning event. It's going to be a 2-part event at the high school cafeteria. It will be Friday, April 4th and Saturday, April 5th. The Friday session is from 5 to 7 p.m. and the Saturday session is 9 to 12. They're meant to complement one another, so it's encouraged, if you can, to please attend both sessions if interested. It'll be more of a presentation style format on Friday evening, and then really an interactive workshop and visioning discussion on Saturday. So if you'd like more information, you can visit the master plan website. Also reach out to me. We will be offering a hybrid component, so if you'd like to attend via Zoom, that's a possibility as well. So all of that is up on the website, and again, you can contact me for more detailed questions.
Can we get that to town? Get it on like
Yeah,
Instagram
so,
and all that public?
The radio ads already began. I expect it to be in the current over the next few weeks, in the town social media in the next couple of weeks, as well
Excellent.
as on select board agendas beginning next week. So, yeah. So
Yeah, I
there'll be
wasn't able
some
to
outreach.
attend the Shadbush, but I was kind of excited to
I
see
knew
that.
you were coming down, Campbell. This is her thing right here.
Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
Yeah, second,
Barry, any motion?
Aye.
Nat?
aye.
John?
Aye.
Staff, thank you very much for everything, your hard work, and all the alternates for showing up, and everyone in the public. And I am an aye. Good night, everyone.
So I can go bother her.